Okay, hello everyone. Good evening. Is everyone on mute? Or is it me? Let me see. Yeah. Okay, please mute yourself as you join in. Thank you. Hello everyone. My name is Patience Carew, and you're welcome to the Enlightened Money Coaching session, our monthly Mind Over Money series. So thank you everyone for joining. I'm super excited to be here again doing what I love the most, talking about money mindset, money psychology, and the meaning of money in our lives, in our beautiful lives. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I want you to put an emoji for me in the chat to tell me how your day has been. How has your day been? Thank you, Lekon. I'm sure that's Mayowa, right? Moyo, PEC. I know that name. Tajuddin, Tosan, how has your day been? Folami, blessing. Is that the Folami that I know? Blessing, Olamide, Michelle, how has your day been? Quickly put in the chat for me how your day has been. You can use an emoji to describe your day. What does that mean? How has your day been? PEC, I don't know what that means. What does that mean? What does that mean? How has your day been and where you're joining from? Joining from. Yeah, for Lami, you know. Hi, for Lami, how are you? Tell us where you're joining from. Are you in Nigeria or where are you joining from? Let me hit recording. Record. Okay. Okay, absolutely. I hope the weather is better now for you guys. I know you're in spring now. So yes, thank you so much for allowing me for joining. Where are you guys joining from? I see someone, if you can rename yourself, it will be better. I see someone 5SADWQ. If you rename yourself, then it'll be better. That way I'll be able to connect with you. So I'm pumped up and ready to UK of Nigeria. Thank you. Who else? How has your day been? Where are you joining from? Very quickly. We're going to start now. We're going to start now. So I just wanted to just check in with you guys. What are your expectations of today's session? I mean, we've had, this is the third series we're having now in our free Mind Money Over series. And remember when I started in January, I said that every month we're going to be holding free webinars or workshops where we will talk about different aspects of our lives as it relates to our financial lives. We're going to pick on topics, and at the start of the year we began on a very high note where we talked about mastering your money mindset for a prosperous 2025. And then in February, we talked on identifying your beliefs so that you can make better money decisions. And now we're looking at, how to give intentionally. We're going to be touching on black tax. We're going to be talking about or considering ways that we can give in a way that doesn't sabotage our financial future, right? Ekan says, my day was great, joining from Port Harcourt. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I don't know if my team can share the link on our community so that those on Telegram and on WhatsApp group so that they can join in from wherever they are. Okay. And for those of you that may, for some reasons, have missed the previous series that we've held, the ones we've held in the previous months, you can access it on YouTube. The link will come on the chat very soon. We have our YouTube page. You can search us. You can search for our YouTube page at Enlightened Money Coaching or at Carew on YouTube, and you can access the previous series. Okay. And then we've also had our masterclass, Know Your Money Archetype. For those of you that attended, kudos. For those of you yet to ever attend, we're waiting for you. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. And once again, if you're just coming in contact with me, my name is Patience Carew. I'm a certified money coach. And what I do essentially is raise your consciousness raise your awareness to money patterns and behaviors so that you can move towards better money decisions. Now, very quickly, many of you know that you have behaviors, you have patterns, you have habits around money, right? But what I want to point out here is there's a difference between the habits that you have formed and the patterns that are driving your relationship with money. Okay? Now, the habits that you have, they've been formed over time. Okay? Habits are way that there are ways that you pick up things and you just carry them, and they can be intentionally, unintentionally. That means consciously or unconsciously. However, what I want to draw your attention to are patterns. Patterns are subconsciously driven, so you don't even know it's inside of you. And so what you're exhibiting, the patterns that you're exhibiting around your financial life may or may not necessarily impact the decisions that you're making, but they're showing up in ways that may serve or may not be serving you. And majority of the time, what happens is our patterns are there to protect us. Our bad habits, we think we're in our comfort zone. So shining the light, starting to recognize how these patterns are showing up as it relates to the different tenets to wealth is what I try to bring your consciousness to. And today we're going to be talking on giving. There's so many laws to wealth. There's savings, there's investments, there's earning, there's spending, how you spend, but there's also the law of giving. And today we're picking just one aspect of giving, which is the black tax, which is giving your money out, and how the ways that you can manage it in a way that doesn't hurt you, doesn't leave you burnt out, doesn't leave you experiencing resentment and overwhelm. So yes, if you're pumped up, or if you think that what I'm going to be sharing today sounds like something you want to sit for the next 60 minutes to listen to, please put in the chat for me. I want to see it. If you know that this topic might interest you, if you know that that's why you're here, otherwise let me know if there's something else that you would like, because we have other series that are coming up in the subsequent months, and we're going to be touching on other topics. So let me know in the chat how this topic sounds to you. How does this topic sound to you? Because we're going to be diving into, why you shouldn't just focus on accumulating money. You're going to recognize the mindset that guides, is law of money the same as the psychology of money. PEC, the laws to money is different. The laws to money are basically the laws that govern your savings, the laws that govern the earning, your investments, your giving, your spending. And then the psychology of money is your attitude towards money. It's your behaviors, your patterns, your energy, your mindset towards money. Okay, so that's what your psychology looks at. So one focuses on your mindset, your beliefs, your patterns, and the other focuses on the practicalities to money. Okay. Michelle says, I've been looking forward to this since the beginning of the year. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to explore strategies, the way, so in ways that helps you align giving to your values in a way that ensures that your bank account doesn't start screaming. Okay. So whether you are here to strengthen your relationship with money, to shift your mindset, to learn, or to just listen to Carew speak, whatever it is, I want you to sit tight and just engage with us. Okay. Now, I like to learn about, so I'm going to be looking in the chat as we speak as well, so that I can carry as many people along. I can feel the energy in the room. Oh, is that Mr. Omole? I like to learn about giving and the timing to give. So just sit down. Thank you so much for joining, Mr. Omole. Sit down and listen. Okay, so let me quickly share. I don't want to waste too much because this topic is very interesting and it feels like I have too much to say. So I want to be very mindful. So this is, so we're going to be talking today on how to build wealth and support others without breaking the bank. Okay. And why is it not moving? Okay. Yeah, just checking the slides to be sure everything is good. Okay. So that's okay. Just to be sure that everything is good. Now, just before we go ahead, I want to ask this question, and this is to get you thinking. Does it happen that You feel like the money that you earn, the money that you have, gets spent on other people, on other things, before you even get to spend it on yourself. Does it feel like that to some of you? I want to see in the chat, does it feel like that to you? Or the money that you get, whether you earn it, whether someone gives it to you, does it feel like, you get to spend it on others, on something else other than yourself? Sincerely, yes, all the time, 100%. What could be the reason? What could be the reason? So I'm just going to be asking questions, okay? So who could be the cause? What could be the reason? What do you think is the reason this happens to you? Where I am the Ada of my family, of the family. Okay. Oh, so that's the reason. So where okay, now for you that you are the Ada of your family, right? And I will speak to that Ada syndrome. Don't worry. Where did this thinking or this assumption, where did it come up for you? Where did it come up for you? Where did it originate from? Where did it originate from? Or why do you even keep doing it? So for those of you that might be thinking and you're reflecting on what I'm asking, why do you keep doing it and doing it, even to the detriment of your desires, of your goals, of your financial future? Why do you think you keep doing it? You said 100% of the time. So that means you're aware. That means you've noticed. Because what I sense here, and this is based on the research that I have done over the last few days, right? This is based on the research I have done. What I sense here is culture, religion, history, psychology, all of it here playing out. And these are the silent forces that shapes, your giving, whether you are giving wholeheartedly or you are giving with side eye. You know what it means to give with side eye? When you are giving with passion, with resentment. Now, this is a very interesting topic, seriously, because even for me, I got to learn about other people's experiences. You'd find that as you start to listen or as you start to hear or read up on certain concepts with money, different people have different experiences. Now, let me see in the charts. Someone says originated from our parents. They sponsored the firstborn and turns first, and the first sponsored others, and that's the beginning of the concept. Another person says, as a first child, I was made to believe from a very young age that I was responsible for my younger siblings and also had to represent the family. And I think I inherited from my boss. My emotion get the better of me. I think I inherited that from my boss, and my emotions get the best of me most of the time. Wow. So we haven't even started, and you're starting to feel all of these things. You see, for me, the impression that I had was we were taught that it was better to give than to receive. How many of you had that experience growing up? Better to give than to receive. Givers never lack. God bless it. God bless a cheerful giver. It's cultural for most Africans, for every African actually, to be honest, based on research. We were taught that as firstborns, it was our responsibility to take care of our younger ones. We were taught that we had to take care of those in need, family members in need. And we were also taught that when we give, we feel better with ourselves because we consider giving to be a good thing, right? And just like you said, and I very much agree with you, it's a culturally significant thing. It's a cultural expectation. But my objective for this webinar for all of us here today, and for those of you that will be listening, right, or catching up, right, is to educate you, is to let you see that there are other ways that you can support your family, support your friends, support your loved ones, is to empower you to be able to make better decisions. It's to help you address the emotional hang-ups that you might be experiencing around your giving. And of course, start to show you ways that you can develop healthy financial habits. Okay, so I want all of us to stay muted. I want us to engage with the chat, share our thoughts as we've started doing, ask questions, interact with ourselves, but stay focused. And how do you stay focused? You stay focused by being present. Okay, and don't forget, you can access this on our YouTube page as well, on Enlightened Money Coaching. The link will come up in the chat. Now, what would I be focusing on with today? I will be talking on reasons why we give, what Black tax is about, the emotional and psychological aspects to giving, direct financial implication to giving, why intentional giving matters, and the communications and boundaries that you can have around your giving. Okay, so those are the key areas that we're going to be giving. And okay, I'm just saying the chat. Yes, so those are the key areas that we're going to be giving. Now, I'm going to, as I share, I want you to also take a moment to reflect, to think back, and to see how it is showing up for you, to see how it is showing up for you. Now, people give for multiple reasons. Where did I write that down? People give for multiple reasons. And of course, there are about 5 reasons I was able to pick out that we give. We give psychologically, we give spiritually, we give emotionally, we give for practical reasons, we give culturally. Now, for psychological, someone was asking me, what is the difference between psychology of money and the law of money? This is where you start to see how your psychology plays out for you. Because you also have psychological reasons why you give. You give because you perceive someone's suffering, someone's need. And guess what? It is already wired inside of us. We humans are wired for connection. So you can imagine that emotionally we connect with other people. And so that emotional connection that is tied to our brain helps us mirror other people's actions. So when we find they're suffering, we feel it, we feel that emotion, and then it causes us to give. And so in a way, we advocate for those feelings through giving. Another reason we give on a psychological basis is for that sense of purpose. Many of you give because there's an internal longing for connection, for self-worth. You feel that giving is a way that you are able to connect with the world. It's a way that you find that you're able to bring meaning, bring sanity, bring some sense of connection or support to the world. Or it's a way that you feel like you're making a difference. You give because you have this genuine desire to help other people without necessarily expecting anything in return. You give because giving makes you feel happy. There's a chemical hormone in our body that is released when we do things that have joy. There's this dopamine that is released when we experience a high. Now, imagine you're giving someone something and the person is ecstatic and the person is saying, thank you, God bless you. This meant so much to me. You came at the point the other day I made a simple, small donation, to a cause, and the person said, that's my widow's mite that I did, came at the right time. And here I was feeling guilty that it was my widow's mite. So you can imagine the way, the gratitude she was expressing and how good it made me feel. So that feeling of joy and satisfaction can cause you to want to experience it again. And of course, you can also give because you want to feel accepted. You want the admiration of your friends. I teach this when I teach my money archetype. There's a money personality called the matter archetype that gives for recognition, for admiration, for validation. These are reasons that we give. You also give for personal growth. Now, when I say personal growth, what I mean is at some point in the hierarchy of human needs, as you ascend that hierarchy, you get to a point where your psychological needs are no longer important because you've crushed them and you're moving to more physiological needs and you're moving to higher needs. And then you now want to start you start going through that phase of self-reflection where you start to see people for who they are. You start to think about other people, and then you want to help people on a global scale. You start to create values and priorities that includes other people beyond your own psychological needs. And that's where you find people going into philanthropy. All of this is still tied to your psychology. All of this is still tied to your psychology around giving. Now, the biggest ways that one of the biggest ways that we give in Nigeria and maybe in Africa as a whole is spiritual. Is spiritual. Now, this one I don't even need to speak too much. Our religious organization, we have tithings, we have offerings, we have charity, we have a department called Let's Help the Less Privileged, Welfare, Less Fortunate. All of these are to encourage us to give. And this type of giving is tied to our faith, our compassion. Even the Muslims give when they are fasting. I don't know, is it called salat or something? I don't remember now, but they have giving is part of the pillars in Islam. I think one of the ways that they exhibit their commitment to the faith is through giving as well. Okay, so and then if you are big on spirituality, meditation, Buddhism, and all those things, you would realize that giving also, if you read all those books, especially Deepak Chopra's books, he talks about giving. He talks about experiencing a higher state of humanity, of connection to giving, giving without attachment, giving as a way to connect to the abundance of the universe. So you then start to see that giving is beyond the way that the meaning that you've associated. And so if you have associated giving with just tithe and offering and helping the less privileged, it's a whole lot, right? You still have those set of people that give because life expects you to give. So there are people that believe that one good turn deserves another. And so they consider the art of the act of giving as energy exchange. So in the future, something good will come to me because I have deposited. I consider it as a way to pay forward. I remember one time I was, I went to the spa a long time ago, and I met a celebrity, and the celebrity paid for my spa session. I said, why? He said, I'm paying it forward. I didn't get, that was my first time, it's a long time ago, but that was my first time understanding it, because eventually I had to reciprocate it, and I said the same thing, and it made me feel good. But you will start to see what paying it forward means and how it concerns Black tax. But what I want you to know is we deposit into the universe as well when we give. So giving isn't so much of a bad thing. No, giving helps you experience enlightenment. Giving helps deepen your faith, your connection with your God, your oneness to the universe, or whatever you consider your spirituality. Giving helps with it. Now, you find that some people who don't want to hoard, who are not hoarders, consider releasing things, giving things out as a way not to be attached materially to things. So they conquer that materialism and consumerism. And that's what I'm trying to say. Yes, I'm actually correct. Materialism, consumerism, consumption, when you are constantly acquiring things, buying things, you stay in that zone of consumption. Giving helps you detach from that. It creates alignment with your being, and it also helps you stay in gratitude. I wanted to mention that. When you start to give, you start to feel like you are in an abundant state. You start to feel like you are expressing gratitude to God or to the universe for the blessings, for the abundance that you have been given. And that's where you see, even in churches, people do Thanksgiving. You hear they say, oh, they're thanking God, or they are doing, and they give. All of us are familiar with a lot of these experiences, right? Now, what are the practical reasons that you give, or that we also give? We give, our community. So obviously, if you live in a community, an estate or something, those are reasons why you give. Okay, you want to help those in need. You want to give for a social cause. Maybe you want to give to cancer, you want to give to the motherless baby, you want to give to schools, you want to causes that interest you. Those are ways that you give. While some companies also give because they want to bridge gaps between those that have, or some organizations or government or social enterprises give because they want to bridge the gaps between those that have and those that don't have. Now, you then find that developed countries or multinationals or businesses that are efficient also give. They do donations, they do CSRs. Why do they do this? It comes with tax benefits. There are incentives attached to intentional giving. So when you find out there are incentive attached to giving, then it comes as tax deductions for you. It's a motivation to want to give. It's a motivation to want to then give. And for those of you that are thinking of investments in healthcare, in social enterprises, social innovation, supporting education, those are ways that giving also comes in. And then those of you that also give to your family members to help with one sort of emergency or crisis, that's also giving. People give to strengthen relationships. People give to build networks. There's emotional reason why you give. I'm exposing the different ways that we give so that when we're breaking it down, wherever your giving is hiding, we're bringing it out. Okay. So yes, of course, emotional reasons why you give. You give out of love. If you love someone, then you care for the person. So you're going to give the person. It's a way to express love. It's a way to address wrongs, past wrongs. People use it to manipulate. People use it to, what do they call it again? Relief. I forgot what it's called. Relief, to relieve guilt, bad things that have been done. Spouses use it to compensate, to pacify themselves. But either way, if someone feels neglected, someone feels they've been wrongly addressed, you see people sue people for money. Those are ways that giving also impacts. People give because of legacy. You want to create a legacy for what you'll be remembered by, then you donate to causes, or you give out certain amounts of money as inheritances to those that you love. You give out of compassion, out of empathy. You give for connection as human beings. You give for gratitude, for hope, for that sense of belonging. Parents give their children. Parents give their siblings. There's so many emotional reasons tied to giving. And so I want you to start to think about yours and how it is showing up for you. And then, of course, in the chat, I've been seeing chats about giving culturally. Everyone has been blaming their giving to the culture. No problem. Leave the culture alone and let's see how it is impacting us. I would always say that there will be so many things in our lives that we will not be able to control. However, our own personal economy, we must pay attention to it. We must become intentional about the things that we do around the decisions that we make within our own personal economy, right? So the cultural reasons that many of you are have listed in the chat is tradition. Now, traditionally here, and I guess in most African countries, right, from based on my research, I see that a lot of the African countries, do virtually the same thing that we do. The Ashwebi that we do, they also do it. The getaway vacation, I forgot what they call that thing when you go and do parties abroad. They do it as well, right? So for weddings, for funerals, we give, we contribute. You find parents contributing, you find friends helping, friends providing support. All these things is coming from your bank account. It's not coming from your bank account. Now, some of you may be smart enough to give in other ways that are not financial, but the majority of us give in financial ways. We express our feelings, our emotions, our connection, everything that we feel, we express it through giving. Okay, and so that brings a sense of reciprocity. So when I help you, when it's my turn, you are going to help me. So the concept of give and take now happens amongst us as Africans. Okay. Another cultural reason to our giving is prestige and status. So, of course, we always know the biggest or the richest man in our community. I remember growing up then, we used to have those people that used to live in their own compounds, their own homes, or they will have their houses with palm trees, nice looking palm trees and fruit trees in their compound. Those were me and my family only. They were the rich people. It was just the way to, and they would give us tap water. They would provide things that's how you know that, okay, these ones, their social standing is different from, and when they would have parties, they would donate so much food to everyone across the street. That is how we give also culturally. Okay. And then, of course, for those of us that are thoroughly traditionalists, there's rituals, there's ceremonies. You find a lot of faith, a lot of people that do traditional things. Part of the things that, make those traditional things thrive is through giving. Now, what they are giving is not what I'm going to discuss. However, all I know is that they give. Okay. Now, all of this, right, is for you to see that it's giving in and of itself transcends you and I. At the end of the day, it is for connection. It is for us to continue. It is collective. And that collectiveness is what I want to bring consciousness to. All our giving is rooted in kindness. All our giving is rooted in relationships. All our giving is rooted to one cause or the other. But at the end of it all, disguised as cultural expectation, is what they call Black tax. And that is where we're focusing, or we're shifting our focus to today. Because in that Black tax, there's emotional dynamics attached to it. There's societal pressure attached to it. And many people, many professionals, many entrepreneurs, many individuals, you and I, sitting here listening today, suffer it. Initially, when I was struggling with the topic, with how to coin the topic, I was a bit concerned that we Nigerians don't associate with Black tax. I thought that Black tax was only for maybe diasporans and other African countries, because the history of Black tax was actually coined from South Africa. I mean, for those of you that don't know, South Africa actually coined the Black tax they have this word they call Ubuntu. I don't know if I'm calling it right, but it's called Ubuntu. Okay. Now, what exactly is Black tax? Black tax is that regular payment that you give to your family members to help them, to support them financially and otherwise. What is unique about the Black tax is it is done on a continuous basis. It is done out of your salary, out of your own living expenses. It is done out of obligation. It is the reason you do it, right, is beyond what you can explain. It is deeply ingrained in you, in your family, and that responsibility, that mindset that you've got to do it has been passed on to. Remember at the start, I talked about patterns and I talked about habits. This continuously helping, right, is now being done on a subconscious basis. You're not aware. You just continue. Like it's your turn. Oh yeah, you don't have a choice. It's like a payback. It's like a payback for sacrifices, whether you made those sacrifices or whether it's the people before you, or whether you don't even have to, or whether it doesn't even concern you, compassionately or through empathy or through manipulation, you just continue. So the phenomenon of Black tax is not unique to South Africa alone. It is across Africans, the African continent, including those in diaspora. I think the reason that it became very popular was because the South Africans, their uniqueness around their own apartheid, the slavery that they experienced, the educational disparity, the inequality that they experienced with education amongst the whites and the Blacks before they got their independence, made it very obvious. So what it then meant at that time was, okay, we were not economically empowered. We were left out of opportunities. And this is just the history. So you see where it's coming from and you see how it has been passed on to you. Because we cannot talk about Black tax without looking at the historical connection, without looking at the emotional connection, the psychological, the practical, and the spiritual. So it's how it now relates and interacts with your personal economy. I want to take all of you on a journey on today. So stay with me, right? And so eventually these South Africans, as they got their independence, right, some of them started working, professionals. What then happened was the less privileged, the less fortunate, the ones that were not so well off, assumed this belief that those that have attained or that are starting to attain some level of economic class or independence or economic status, elevated status, it became their responsibility to look back and share their seeming success or money with those that are left behind. Now, some of you may argue that it is not your responsibility, that it's not even a big deal taking care of your dependents. Of course, it's not a big deal. It's not new. If we leave them behind, if God has blessed you, then what? Then help people, right? And of course, it's a good thing, because when you help, it minimizes the suffering, it minimizes the lack. And when you help, it also bridges that gap of lack, that poverty gap. It helps your siblings, your relatives, your friends. It helps them also gain economic power, right? And so they become independent. They start to take care of themselves, right? That is the assumption, right? But is that always the case? Do the receiver just stay stuck so there are two ends of the spectrum, the giver and the receiver. So does the receiver just stay there, right? So I want you to imagine that you are the only one who got a better paying job in your family. You are the only one who has made it. You get all the good grades, you get scholarships, you become high-level professionals, or maybe you are even now a wealthy celebrity. And the rest of your family begin to see this achievement, your achievement as their hope, as their roadmap, as their key, as the way out of suffering and poverty. Now, for the giver, which is you, the achievements, right, at some point can then become a burden. And this burden is likely to, in the long run, diminish your own capacity to build wealth, to invest in yourself, to be happy, to move or save towards retirement. Go and check it out. Go and check those in diaspora, especially those ones that their family members at home consider them as ATM. How many of them have really paid off their mortgage? This phenomenon, like I said, is everywhere. And in Nigeria, ours is entrenched in our identity and our culture, our values. In fact, you can't escape it here. In fact, we've been conditioned. Please put in the chat for me. How many of you grew up with your parents saying, remember where you are coming from? How many of you grew up with your parents saying that, don't forget where you are coming from? The road that leads home, you must not forget it. If your parents never said that to you, then maybe you grew up in, remember where you are coming from. Let me tell you something. They were programming us, we didn't know. We were being programmed for black tax. We were being programmed to uphold cultural values and norms. Yes, supporting our family is good. That's what we're created for. But systemically, how is this affecting us? How is the concept, how is this black tax showing up? Why is it sabotaging our financial future? Why is it depleting our own personal energy? Why are we experiencing resentment with the giving? Why are we having side eye when we give? Why are we not giving happily all the time? It's a very controversial topic. And it's not enough for me to talk about black tax and talk about only the giver without also considering the receiver. So the giver is experiencing burnout. But guess what? The receiver too is also feeling entitled and probably feeling stuck. So the giver is happy to give, at least sometimes. But the giver now becomes the enabler to the dysfunction. Because if the giver isn't empowering the receiver becomes stuck, gets used to the pattern. Sometimes the receiver doesn't even need the help that much. And I like to, because I want to look at it holistically, I don't want to leave one thing out. When I said it was a systemic issue, what I meant, and I will explain, is many of us, or many of you, play the role of the government. How? I'll explain. In developed nations, right, there are programs. I mean, I schooled abroad, so I know that there are schemes, there's social welfare, there are programs, there are policies for the elderly, there's unemployment benefits. Undergrad, if you're going to graduate school, you pay 1/3. I remember my parents were paying 100% tuition. and the locals and the Europeans and international students, that have what do you call it, immunity. They were paying a third of what I was paying. There's disability allowance. A lot of all those grants are there. Student loans, opportunities, scholarship, the welfare system, housing, social, everything takes the burden, at least majority, for their citizens. Your unemployed sibling no longer becomes your issue, at least not 100% of the time, because he or she can access unemployment benefits or social housing. The government might even provide free education or child allowance, children allowance. There's subsidized healthcare. I know, because I also enjoyed subsidized healthcare as a student. Now come back to developing nation, our continent, Africa. The African continent encourages Black tax, because most of these nations, our nation, our country, especially our own, we don't have all of that. So we are our own caretaker. We provide the infrastructure ourselves. We concern ourselves with everybody's welfare. So it becomes a community thing. It becomes a collective thing. The average Black man is expected to take care of his relative and the extras that are in need. And I know I'm speaking to so many people here. The culture expects you to take on responsibility, which means that many people don't even have the opportunity, the privilege to say, no, I don't want to pay your school fees, or I don't want to contribute, or I don't want to. So it then becomes a systemic problem, because enough is no longer enough. There's no amount of money that you give the person you want to help that will ever be enough. And you haven't finished solving your own problem. And problem no they finish. So you then find that you feel that things cannot be done without you. The monies that the government are meant to use to provide amenities, provide infrastructure, provide things. Can you mute yourself, please? Moyo, can you mute yourself? The monies that the government are meant to use to provide infrastructure for us, they're being deployed to other things that are not effective. So we have now become our own provider. And so that successful brother or professional or family member becomes the savior, becomes the chief provider. That firstborn starts to suffer the firstborn syndrome. Someone mentioned Ada syndrome earlier. That firstborn becomes the Messiah, the El Shaddai. And there's so many reasons all of these things are happening. Because sometimes you, the giver, you, the benefactor, you, the savior, you, the great provider, you fear that nobody will take care of your family if you don't take care of your family. And family is everything. That is a conditioning as well. That is how we've been programmed. But are you also giving to a point that you feel control? Because nations, developed nations also do it. They give to African countries. They give to less developed countries. But they don't give without conditions. There are conditions precedent to the drawdown that they give. So you, the giver, you might also be using the receiver to do your bidding. And we see this play out. We see this dynamics play out all the time. Wealthy parents, children from wealthy homes, couples. I teach all of this when I teach my signature program, The Money Archetype. I teach about the money personality, where the significant other has so much access to or is financially successful and then manipulates the other partner. The successful siblings. And many times the recipients don't have a choice. Well-to-do families use their resources to control the rest of their family. So you all these things. What about those people that feel guilty that God has blessed them, and so they have to bless other people? Their success is even making them feel guilty. So what's happening is they're giving and giving and giving. But guess what? Both you, the giver, that is giving unintentionally, and the receiver, all of you are doing everything instinctively. We operate across 3 different dimensions: instinctively, emotionally, and logically. But this particular situation, if consciousness is not brought, then majority of the time, we're all giving and we're all operating subconsciously on a survival mode. And that's what I want to show you. Because without this awareness, your financial future will keep crippling. Your personal development that I told you about will dwindle. Your self-esteem will always be shattered. Your progress in life. You see, I was saying to you that, based on what I read people's experiences. One of the stories I read was the woman said she looked at Western Union, how much money she had sent home, and she realized that the house that she doesn't have now at 55, if she had kept a portion of that money, she would have her mortgage, only God knows where she would be. So because families at home believe that once you relocate, your life is better. You have access to better life and big money. And so you are programmed to keep sending this money home, but you're not even living any better than the people that you're sending money home. So this affects your mental health. So at some point, you start to experience regret. You start to procrastinate and lose energy to do things that are important. You don't have retirement plan anymore. You experience resentment for those people that you claim that you love. And of course, conflicts coming for you. So how do you then deal with all of this? Considering all I've said now, what do you think? And I want you to reflect or put in the chat for me. What do you think giving means to you personally? What do you think giving means to you personally? What do you think giving means to you personally? Do you feel joy? Do you feel the pressure to give? I want to see in the chat. Do you feel joy? Do you feel the pressure to give? How do you decide when? How do you decide how to give? Remember, I said that majority of us are on intentional, we're not intentional, we're instinctive. So do you give instinctively? And when I say instinctively, based on impulse. So someone comes to you, I need this is this, and you just release it. You don't process it. You're not processing the request. I love and I'm happy giving. Okay. Let me see. Thank you. Let me see what Tajuddin is saying. I derive self-fulfillment in giving. I love and I'm happy giving, but the problem is overgiving. Lekon says, I derive self-fulfillment in giving. Absolutely. So how do you decide when, how, and to whom you give? How do you decide? How do you decide? How do you make that decision? How do you make that decision? Because I'm asking this because there's so many, guilt is a big driving force to your giving. Guilt. A lot of things trigger, and I'm moving on now to talk about, the emotional. What's the next? Let me see what I'm supposed to talk about. Yeah. I'm moving on now to talk about the emotional triggers linked to your black tax, to your giving. And that's why I'm causing you to reflect. Because the way that you give, right? I am an emotional giver, okay? Thank you. Circumstances. The way that you give, right? It's possible that it can drain you emotionally. PEC says, for me, giving is a part of human obligation. Like you have said, transfer of energy. Absolutely. But let's look at other triggers to giving, right? Now, some people, remember I said that some people, depending on where you are at in your life, you might experience guilt tied to your success. You might feel obligated to provide to family members because they don't share the same financial opportunity as you. And of course, it's cultural expectation that causes you to feel this way. So what happens with Africans is we see the success of one person, of a family member, of a sibling, of a parent as a collective achievement. So that means that your success should benefit everyone in the family. And so what happens to the giver, to that person, to that successful person is you start to overextend yourself. You are now forced to keep paying school fees. You are forced to, and you don't recognize it, but check it out. What is it sabotaging for you? Is it delaying your own ability to save for your personal home or to invest in that business you've been thinking about? Because guilt can also force you to give more than you can afford to give. And you know what? If you start to read up on the law of giving, on the art of giving and receiving, the art of giving and receiving, the law of generosity, you will find out that true generosity starts with taking care of yourself. You've got to, first of all, appreciate yourself. You've got to do things for yourself. Become mindful of how you interact, how you give. Because if you are giving with under pressure, and this pressure can be implied, it can be triggered by your family. This pressure can cause you strain. It can, in fact, the pressure to give, right, makes people feel like they are inadequate, because that pressure makes their income, their ability, their capacity to meet the needs of their family members, it makes it very obvious. So when you feel like you cannot solve a problem, don't forget that you didn't even create the problem in the first place. You start to doubt yourself. And the only challenge is you cannot fulfill that request. You cannot meet that need. You cannot solve that problem. But it causes you to challenge yourself, challenge your worth, your capacity. You challenge yourself, your worth, for a problem that you didn't even create in the first place. Where did you learn that from? You've been programmed to give back. You've been programmed to feel obligated. Someone in the chat said the firstborn syndrome, the Ada syndrome. You are by default, you are meant to take care of those after you. And this pressure can weigh heavily on you. And that's the burnout that I was talking about. If you're not aware, that constant pressure, that demand over you, your resources, your time, your energy, can cause you to start to, can even bring conflict. Because when you are unavailable, then they call you the devil. Then they say that you're selfish, you're stingy, you're frugal, you're ungrateful. God has blessed you and you don't want to help other people. And then you know what this manipulation does to you? It makes it very difficult for you to say no. And I will talk more about how to say no as we go along. So you then find that family dynamics plays a role in the way that money is being communicated or related with in the family. Because if the family isn't, if they're not empowered, conflicts will arise and it will strain the relationship within the family. There will be favoritism, there will be judgment. People will feel like they're being labeled. Someone will feel like they're gossiping. There will be misunderstanding. Some family member will have one expectation of you. The other, I remember a case where, someone was saying to me that the other sibling was complaining that she takes care of the other sibling even better than their own sibling. Or you find a situation where one sibling is telling you, remember, I have my own children. This one, you are helping that one's children all the time. As if it's not your money. So how often do you feel guilt? How often do you feel obligated to give? How often? How often do you feel guilt? Or how often do you feel obligated to give? And is it possible for you to be able to shift all these negative states so that you can start to give with intention? Is it possible? Is it possible? Because what's happening is some of you, like I said, might be reliving patterns, might be reliving past experiences. And these experiences are rooted from your childhood, from the way that your parents relate with money. So you're just playing the game. You're just continuing the way it is. They are passing the baton to you, and you are just going on. That's it. So you are repeating financial patterns as you have observed from your childhood. You're witnessing your parents struggling to meet their own needs, struggling to take care of their own parents, their own siblings. You have witnessed how you all you need to do is do people pleasing to get things. You've seen a lot of judgments being made around, oh, this person has money but cannot help. You've seen people sidelined because they're not able to help. It takes a lot of intentionality to break free. And the most important thing here is to create a balance. I think there's a slide where, yes, the most important thing is to create a balance. You start by shifting your mindset, reframing it. Start to see it as a choice. Then you move on to intentionality. How do you become intentional? You start to set clear boundaries. Lacon says, understand where to draw the line. And that's very simple, but we struggle with that. So if you don't know yourself, if you haven't worked on yourself, then it becomes very difficult for you to recognize that your financial success is a tool for upliftment. There's something I saw, there's something I read about, and this is not even something, this happens all the time. If you get on a plane, they tell you, wear your own oxygen mask first. Why? Because you have to secure yourself, you have to protect. If you don't secure yourself, you can't help some. So you get on the safety harness first before you can help somebody else. So as it is, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So you've got to protect your own resources. You've got to protect your energy, yourself, your mind, because that's the only way that you can ensure that you remain a source of support in the long run. And that's if you want to continue to help. Very critical. Very critical. Thank you, Lekon, for sharing. I hope you all are with me. So if you don't understand yourself, how would you be able to practice mindfulness? How would you be able to remind yourself of your financial priorities? How would you be able to recognize if you are giving out of pressure, or the way that you are giving will bring you peace and happiness? Now, the next section is the direct financial implication to your giving. So you have been giving. You are a generous giver. God loves a cheerful giver. But how is it showing up for you? Is it delaying your financial progress? Because giving excessively can prevent you from investing in your own self. For you that run a business, for you that you are an entrepreneur, is your giving affecting your cash flow? Because it might affect your ability to reinvest into your business. And that will slow down growth and profitability for you. There are so many ways that the financial implication can show up for you. Constant family requests. So the money that you have set aside for your business, you then divert it towards extended family requests. That's one way. You are unable to pay your debts because you have taken on so much money to meet up with burial expenses, wedding expenses, social contribution, annual contribution, medical emergencies. Imagine all of that. Or these are ways that all of this is showing up. I don't know who that is, but I don't think that person should come in. Let me see. Yeah, sorry. I just saw a strange person trying to access the Zoom. So just taking the person out. So one of the ways that you can start to become aware or take control of your giving is setting financial priorities. We hear about priorities all the time. But if you are not clear as to your own priorities, and many of us think that we know our priorities, we know it. But these priorities have competing demands too. And so it then makes it very difficult for us to make decisions. It makes it difficult for us to stay focused on our goals. And so what we're doing is we're overspending, but we don't even know it. And so your financial priorities, right, is very important. The best way for you to start to become intentional with setting your financial priorities is to recognize what you consider to be your needs, your wants, and your responsibilities. So, what are your needs? You know your needs now. Your needs are your fixed expenses, your rent, your utility, your food, your internet, your healthcare, all that, excuse me. What are your wants? Many of the wants that we have or we desire, right? They're okay. They help us live a better life. They enhance the quality of our lives. But are they necessary? Can you step down from eating salmon to eating mackerel? Even mackerel is expensive now. Can you step down to eating egg, fish? What are the adjustments that you need to make? Can you cut down on lunch? Take eating out? Can you cut down on luxury? Or can you even cut out some subscriptions that are not useful or not relevant anymore? And then there's a third one that I want to introduce, and that's responsibilities. And that is the part that we don't pay attention to. So we think that we know, but we don't pay attention to the financial obligations. So we then take money out of our needs to support other people. Meanwhile, we are meant to allocate monies for our needs. We take money from our needs to meet our responsibilities. And those responsibilities are family and community contributions, the black tax I was talking about. Those responsibilities are the credit card debts that we take on. Or for some of you that own businesses, your business expenses. So 3 things that you want to pay attention to. You want to track your needs, your wants, and your responsibilities. And my focus is on your responsibilities. Now, how do you do that? You audit those more, and you've been hearing audit, right? No problem. Let me just break it down for you. What they are trying to say is bring it out, create a schedule, put your wants, put your needs, put your responsibilities, categorize them into these 3, and start to type in how the expense categories, the expense, the line items, those things in your bank statement, how you spend those monies. Start to do that. And then if you're not quite sure or you want to take it a step further, you can allocate. I'm not going to be talking about budgeting because I don't want any resistance here. So what I would say is you can allocate. What you can do is you can say, okay, my needs are very essential. So 50% of everything I earn, I would allocate it to my needs. My wants is necessary for me to experience life in a more, and to live a more quality life, to experience recreation, to give life meaning, to connect with other people, social interaction. So my wants are also crucial. So I would dedicate 30% to my wants. And then I would dedicate 20% to my investments. But nobody is dedicating any amount to giving. We've conveniently forgot about the giving. So where does our responsibilities come in? Don't forget that culturally we're meant to, our culture expects us to give, especially if you are the Messiah, you are the El Shaddai, you are the firstborn, you are the giver, you are the culture expects, or you are the most successful one, or the chosen one. Culture expects you to give. So what do you then do? For those of you with significant family obligations, what you can do is do some reallocation. So your needs are there, your wants are there, savings and investments are there, but you create another schedule or another line for your responsibilities, which is your family, your giving. Okay, which is your giving. Now, the percentage that you want to give is your discretion. Do you want to give 5% of what you earn? Do you want to give 10% of what you earn? That is your discretion to make. Now, so let me put this into perspective. Earlier on, I said the popular way that you do allocations, for those of you that do budgeting, or for those of you that want to call it reallocation, because budgeting can trigger people. It says 50% for your wants. Now, how about you reduce that wants, and I'm sorry, 50% for your needs. How about you reduce the needs to 45%, and then you reduce your wants to 25%. You've created 10% without affecting your savings and investment. Now, your savings and investment is even a function of where you are in your life. Because if you are 45 and above, the portion that you are allocating to your savings and investment should go up. What other ones, what enjoyment are you still enjoying? You've been enjoying since you were 10 years old, 5 years old. You enjoyed at 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. You even did 40th birthday. What are you enjoying? You increase your allocation for your savings and investment so that you are prepared for your senior years. You might also want to cut down on the responsibilities, the family support that you are giving, because how are you so sure? What are the guarantees that this family would also be there to take care of you in your own senior years? Not with this Gen Z generation that we have. We have a generation, so we are having children now, but those children, they are in their own generation. There's another generation in the middle of those of us that have our own gen. There's a millennial, there's a Gen Z, there's Gen Alpha. What's going to happen to the Gen Zs before the Gen Alpha that we're having right now? Are we anticipating that the Gen Alpha, that they don't even want to stress themselves, that they are digitally, everything is digitized for them? AI is taking over. Are they the ones that are going to take care of you, the millennial? Absolutely not. So you've got to become intentional, and this allocation should be based on the season of your life, that wherever you are in your 30s, then you still have a bit of time. So you can go ahead and do the 50, 30, 20, or go ahead and do the 45, 25, 20, 10. Whatever you do, you just must recognize that building wealth is a journey. When people share, and I see this a lot happening online, people are saying, build wealth, I made this, I made that. It's all a facade. Wealth is not built on a single day. So for you to accumulate money, it takes time. I always encourage people, save the money first, accumulate the money first, then go and put it in a good investment. You will not be tempted to do MMM. You will not be tempted to go into Ponzi. You will not be tempted to put it in all this Forex, AI, all these things that are taking all your money. Because consistently over time, just like your habits that are formed over time, the habits that you have right now, do you think it just came upon you? It's consistent, it's through repetition, spaced repetition over time. So it is this habit that grows your money. It is this habit that makes you disciplined to stay through to compounding. This small behavior can bring you big impacts. I know in practical accounting or practical finance, they'll tell you automate your savings. They'll tell you track your expenses. But you see, this small and significant thing that I'm saying to you is even more critical, because no matter how much automation you do, no matter how much tracking you do, you will still sabotage. One medical emergency will come. One sibling would need that money. One sibling will want to buy iPhone and lie to you that it's tuition. One cousin would, so these things will come up. So it's now left for you to start to recognize them, right? Start to recognize them. Now, let me very quickly, how many of you wants to hear the strategy that I use to maintain financial boundaries personally? I have my own strategy. If you want to hear it, I want to see it in the chat, please. How many of you want to hear the strategy that I use to keep, to manage my own finances? How many of you? I need 3 people to put in the chat for me. If you're ready to hear how I manage my own, fill us in. Absolutely. One more person. And yes, good. Thank you. Now, of course, I've talked about how you should create a budget, right? How you should do allocation. Samuel Omole says, I'd love to. Ready. Thank you. Right? I said, create a percentage of money. Now, that creating the percentage of money, for some of you, even if you create the percentage of money on Excel, you write it down in your journal, you tell yourself, you tell the universe, you pray about it, you fast and pray about it, something will still come and happen and take that money from you. One problem. In fact, the money you have been saving, somebody will urgently come and need. Somebody's emergency will be bigger than your own emergency. You will even forget about your own emergency because that person's emergency will become more important. Right? So here's what I do. When someone asks me for money, and I had to develop this muscle, and I think it came easier for me because I'm also an accountant, right? And this perception about accountants. But even those of you that are not accountants, you can also start to learn. You can start to open yourself up to strategies. Some of these strategies are not book by the book. They're just common sense that you then develop. There are muscles that you work, that you build upon. Okay. So what I do is when financial requests come, before I commit to financial requests, before I commit, I take my time. Before I commit, I take my time. You cannot come and tell me something is happening right now. Except you cannot tell me something is happening. I'm not the next of kin. Something is happening that I would need at least 48 hours. So what I do now is I write on my, I go to my notes on my phone. Every month, I write all the names of the people that I want to give something to. I write their names, I write the allocated amount. Sometimes, in fact, sometimes the amount I write, by the time I'm ready to transfer the money at the end of the month, when I have received salary or I have made money or whatever, the money might even reduce because the list might be higher. Now, and sometimes I'll now do scale of preference again, or priority, because I may have used the money for something else, and so would have very little left to share. So I will then pick the ones with the pressing needs. Now, there'll be situations where some people's needs are very urgent. I may be able to meet them, but that would depend on how much I have spent during the week. Sometimes I'm able to, say, okay, I haven't really personally spent money. I didn't eat out this week. I have a free extra change. I can do away with 50K. I can buy lunch for my staff or give somebody some 20K there or 10K there. That's because I have now become intentional. I have created a system that helps me. So that impulse, that instinctive behavior, that temptation that you will use to come and meet me is not there. Because I pause, I take a moment. I don't make your emergency my emergency. I am surrounded by emergencies. Yes, I am surrounded by emergencies. So imagine I'm consistently taking on everybody's emergency. I wouldn't be able to meet my own emergencies. You don't consider your reality to be an emergency because you have been conditioned to consider other people's needs as priority over yours, especially for those of you with a high matter. So another thing that I do is, and apart from the fact that I say, okay, I wait a bit, some of you do you know that sometimes if you even delay their request by 2 days, they would have found other needs, other solutions. If they have not found the solution, you yourself, just by even thinking about it, you can open their eyes to other opportunities, to alternatives. Do you know that time alone can help you focus on the true emergencies? Some people's emergencies are not emergencies. You will know a true emergency. Oh, my wife is having a baby. That one is an emergency. But then you had 9 months to think about it. So you had 9 months. But of course, medical emergencies can happen. That is a different emergency. But not living expenses. Not living it. There's so many. See, at the end of the day, judge however way you want to judge. It will help you prevent impulsive spending. You will become very thoughtful before your money leaves your account. And those of you that are falling into every form of scheme, Ponzi, all those money, all those investment products that are taking all your money, just imagine you are pausing, you are waiting 2 days, 1 day. Something may cross your mind to say, go and even check their website. Go and cross-check, go and do due diligence on what Tosan just mentioned or what Mayowa just said. Just doing that alone can delay your decision. Because the first time you hear a request, the first time you hear about somebody's problem, instinctively you are wired to want to help. The first time you see a disabled person, instinctively, that is your religion, that is your culture, that is your psychological desire. Remember at the start, I talked about 5 critical reasons why we give. We give psychologically, we give spiritually, we give emotionally, we give culturally, and we give practically. It's not even the practical reasons that drives your giving. No, absolutely not. I remember my friend in the US. She's the firstborn. She used to suffer this Ada syndrome very well. And Igbos now, Igbo people, they expect that, oh, when you relocate, you should come and you should also relocate your parents. There's a lot of, familial responsibilities attached to being the first daughter. especially in the eastern part, right? Especially in Nigeria. I don't know about other culture, right? So, I remember one time, out of stress and frustration, she said to me, my mom prefers calling me every time because I am the Ada. And she will tell me, oh, it's because you are the Ada. One day, she called me and I said, I'm not available, mommy. Call your other daughters. And she was like, no, now you are the one that would do it. She said she didn't talk to the mother for many days and she realized that the mother still got to do what she wanted to do through the other daughters. So what happens is we ourselves, we have to train those people that are dependent on us on how to look for alternatives. Except, of course, the gratification you are feeling from giving is doing you something. Of course, maybe it's increasing your dopamine, it's making you feel good, you're feeling high with yourself. Otherwise, you yourself have to become aware. You have to teach them. You have to, because as the enabler, you are enabling a cycle of dysfunctionality and dependence. And you don't know it, but you're going to experience burnout eventually. You need somebody to keep you accountable. So these are one of the ways. And so another thing again that I do is I think about my own vision, my goal. What do I want to do? Can you mute yourself, please? Whoever is, yeah. I think about what I want to do with my money. I have, like I said, I have my own emergencies. I have my own future. I have my own things. There's so many things. Even if I don't know, can't I also loud with my money? So imagine if you are in debt or if you have debt, imagine your debt. I guarantee you, when you see the gbese looking at you, it will cut down on the monies that you're giving out. Okay, so these are very simple, but for those of you that find it very difficult to say no, it's a big deal. For those of you that are not able to cut down on your giving because giving makes you feel good, giving makes you feel spiritual, giving makes you connect with your God better, giving makes your prayers answered, giving, I hope it's not to the detriment of your financial life. Because if you are not giving intentionally, then you are not creating balance. You have to safeguard yourself. You have to find a way to create boundaries. No, it's not even creating boundaries with just giving, creating boundaries for your life, because you see many marriages where there's so much strife, there's so much conflict, so much issues around how the husband gives so much and the wife and the children at home. It's just, if you have ever attended my money archetype, then you would see where people are sharing their real life experiences of how their parents handled money, either through overspending or through leakage, financial cancer, cancer of the wallet. So you want to be able to help other people without compromising your own well-being, right? You want to be able to do all of that. You must also recognize your mindset. Because if you, as someone asked at the start about mindset, psychology of money, this is where it comes in. Your mindset is how you see money. It's what shapes your beliefs, the decisions that you make, the actions, the outcome that you have, your behaviors around money. That's it. So you must recognize your own mindset around money. How do you see money? Do you project on money, scapegoat money, and see it as a tool, as a source of anxiety, as a source of stress, as a source of pressure? Some people don't want to associate with the wealth of their family because of the stigma it brings for them, right? So but do you see money as something for empowerment, as a way to know how much you have, how much you need, so that you can know how to give money to other people? Do you see money as an opportunity for growth? I see money as an opportunity for growth. I see money as a way to create wealth. Because once you understand investments, once you understand how to compound the money, once you understand what to do with your return on investment, how to do reinvestment, it's very beautiful. Very beautiful. It doesn't mean that the economy will not happen. Of course, the economy will happen, but your ability to believe in your capacity to manage money properly, to be a steward of the resources that God has bestowed on you, Oh God, it's powerful and it's still rooted in your mindset. So yes, you have to develop yourself. You have to work on your relationship with money as well. Otherwise, if you don't, you will still struggle with that concept of giving. So you will be giving, but you will be giving with resentment. You will be giving through overspending. You will be giving because something is not on board with you associating yourself with money. You will be giving because money can't stay in your bank accounts. You'll be giving because you don't want to be attached with the materialism of money. You don't want to be worldly around money. Yes, very important that you start to see all of that. Okay? So I hope that this is making sense to all of you. I hope that this is, let me know, how is this going for you? How is this going for you? Very important that you ensure that your family obligations don't compromise your own financial future, your financial success. You've got to set boundaries around giving. I know Lakon said that early. How do you set boundaries? You define what is important to you. You think about your priorities and your own values. You communicate them. Enlightening as always, you communicate your vision to your family members. There are families where if you don't tell them what you want to do with your money, they'll keep stopping you and they'll keep thinking you don't want to spend money. We have families like that. Now, how do you communicate with families or with people about money? How do you set boundaries? How do you empower yourself to say no? How? How do you do that? Do you just say no? Even me, I had to learn, and I'm still learning the concept of no. No can be confrontational. No can seem like you are attacking someone. At the same time, no doesn't necessarily mean that you're turning your back on someone. No just means wisdom. No just means you have the foresight. I mean, there's a part of the Bible that says that wisdom is profitable to direct. What that means is that you have knowledge, you have wisdom to understand that the way that you say no guides your actions and your decisions. The way that you say no provides a clear understanding of the consequences of your either saying yes or no. And the way that you say no can help you manage relationship, manage conflict. It can help you build respect, at the same time create boundaries, and that's what you want to create. So how do you want to say no to your family members? That's one of the things that I had to learn as well. As I got older in my life and running a finance business, I realized that one of the things that I needed to deal with was feeling guilty. I learned that I should never ever feel guilty because I have something that somebody doesn't have. We can't all have it. We can't have it all. Life deals with us differently. And it's the same thing with the people that you help. So as you are giving, you must recognize that they can't have it all. You also can't have it all. So you can't meet all their needs. You can't. You can't. So what do? You show empathy first. Let me share a personal experience. Sometime, last year, a friend of mine lost her job. She was asked to leave. I'm not sure if she was asked to leave or she left. Can't remember now. But what I do remember was, we were talking, we got talking, and we discussed, how she lost the job, the whole situation. We cried together. We blamed everything. Everybody that needed to be blamed, we blamed them. That was empathy. That was me saying, I completely understand. I acknowledge your emotions. I recognize what you're going through. And then what did we do next? We went on to say, okay, now that you've been fired, let's consider the terms of your exit. Our eyes was opened at that time. We started looking at the debts that she was owing the company. We reconsidered the terms of the debt. The loan she had, I think it was a car loan. So we reconsidered the terms of the loan, how she was going to pay. We looked at the repayments. We looked at, early liquidation, options for early liquidation, or sitting through the mature, or waiting to the maturity of the loan. What I'm trying to say here is, after you show empathy, after you recognize what is going on, You don't necessarily always have to provide financial support. Sometimes you can provide other support beyond financial. I didn't even have to give her any money. Just looking at her statement for her credits, her debts, and all of that was enough support. I didn't have to. So if someone comes to you at that point, the first thing to do is, okay, listen to them share all the stories if you have the time. And then you say to them, I understand what you're asking for. I wish I could do more. But at the moment, I'm prioritizing. You don't even have to explain. You don't even have to explain. You just need to show that you care. And you just need to either open them up to alternatives or just leave them as they are. That way, you preserve the relationship. So whether they talk to you or they don't talk to you, it's not key at that point in time. You're not Jesus. You can't do it all, especially if you're also going through a phase. So learning to say no can also help you prevent that burnout, can manage relationship. They come to you, the first thing is, oh, thank you for coming to me. Thank you for thinking about me. Tell them your own challenges. Sometimes people don't know that their challenges are not unique to just them. It's the same Nigeria that we're in. So what makes my own situation? And the thing is, regardless of whatever level you are, you're also experiencing your own reality. So it's very important, very, very important that all of this go on using honest. And when you talk with empathy, right, it reflects. It reflects as honesty. It reflects as you acknowledging feelings. And remember that at the beginning, I said that we're wired for connection. People then begin to say, ah, so you too, your situation might be different from theirs. If you are in no capacity to help, you can do that. If you are in a capacity to help, by all means, do your widow's mite and walk away with your dignity and your boundaries intact. But remember that you can also offer alternatives, right? Sometimes the stories come plenty. Set the expectations from the start. Don't tell them come back tomorrow. There's no tomorrow. It's better you become an enemy today than sabotage your financial future. So let's look at some scenarios. Let's look at some scenarios where setting boundaries can also work for you. So for those of you that have cousins, oh, I need help. I need to buy a new phone, or I need to buy hair, or I need to this. You can just respond. I would have loved to help you, but right now I'm stretched for this month, or my budget does not allow. I hope you understand. It doesn't sound easy to say, right? But you can build the muscle. You too cook up your own, curate your own stories around your priorities. What are your priorities? What are your monthly expenses? What are your long-term goals? Have you set them? Have you set them? Sometimes, right, it's because you're not having conversations about your own goals, your personal projects. That's why people don't know that you have responsibilities. People don't know that you have emergencies. Yes, somebody comes to you for emergency support that is beyond your capacity. Was it not the other day? My sister was sharing with me a request she had. The person started at 2 million and ended at 250. How do you do that? That means that that thing you were even trying to get was not important. You're just trying to solicit funds. Yes. So somebody comes to you, we need funds urgently for an unexpected medical bill. That is an emergency. I'm sorry to hear about it. Can you contribute? Okay, let me contribute what I can, even though it will not cover everything. But please, this is what I can do. And then let's look at other ways you can reach. Show them other opportunities. Show them other family members. Open their eyes to different ways that they can make money. You are not the great provider. Collaborate on solutions to the problem. Somebody lost a parent. Talk to the person, have discussions. Oh, what are the plans? What are you doing? Oh, what are you wearing? Okay, who is handling this? It doesn't, the onus is not on you. So if you then feel, oh, generous enough, or you have the allowance or the capacity to contribute, by all means. Otherwise, you create a pattern of ongoing financial dependence. That's when you find some people become entitled and expect you to continuously and consistently pay their fees, pay their rent. For those ones that consistently want you to be paying their rent, you can have conversations like, I noticed that I've been helping you pay something consistently. I care about you, but I also need you to either start doing things, start working, start creating other means, or I need you to please understand that I cannot keep overextending myself. So we have to find ways. Either you move to a cheaper place or you go and, you just, if you don't have these conversations, you will keep giving and you will keep experiencing burnout. You will keep what? Giving and experiencing burnout. So setting your boundaries is also learning to say no. No is a full sentence. A full what? Sentence. Full sentence. Establishing financial boundaries is different. How do you establish financial boundaries? And it comes back, it boils down to all I have said. Okay? We're bringing this to a wrap, but I want to just point out 4 key things that I want you to take note of from everything that I have said today, in case you missed anything out. Now, the first one is reflection, self-reflection. And if you can put it in the chat. What are my priorities when it comes to savings, investing, and giving? What are your priorities? So, and how do you get your priorities? You think about your goals. See, if you don't give your money a reason, if you don't give your money a big why, your money will not know where to go. No, you've got to tell your money where to go. You've got to give, every money must be running an errand for you. Otherwise, it will just be sitting there and you will just be instinctive. That's when you hear people say, I don't know where my money went. No, your money didn't go anywhere. You sent it away because you are projecting. There's something inside of you that doesn't even want to associate with the money. So another thing again, communication. Remember I said communicate clearly and with respect, with compassion. So I want to help. This is what I can afford. This is what is in my budget. Somebody comes to me for a certain amount of money. No problem. I don't have a problem. I'll give you what I can give you. Go and be arguing with your mobile phone or arguing later. You're not the one that is burning the candle or working for me. Some people are so entitled that the money that you give them is not enough. They forget to say thank you. That's not on you. Set limits. That's where allocating your money comes in. If you have, for those of you that are salary earners and have fixed income coming in monthly, it's much easier than the entrepreneurs or those that make money in cycles. Set limits. How much do you want to give and avoid exceeding the allocation? So define how much you want to contribute. Community. Sometimes when you say to, I remember reading somebody's experience. The person said, so what? So every month, I think he used to send $100 every month home. So they complained that things had gotten so expensive. I think he increased it to $300. Then he realized that in the middle of the month, one emergency comes up again, some urgency comes up again, and then they're asking for money. So what did he do? And now this is somebody's experience. He said that he now had to tell his parents that no problem, but I will give you the money you need, but I will back it out of your monthly allocation. The first month he did it, the parents didn't believe it. The second month he did it. By the third month, they started saying, no, don't worry, just leave our allocation the way it is. And that's how the pressure stopped. You cannot function when these demands come upon you. Let me repeat myself. These demands put pressure on you because they are day-to-day demands. They are day-to-day living expenses. They are day-to-day requests of people on survival mode. You cannot thrive on survival mode. You can't. You will always be on impulse. You will not be able to think things through. Your emotions will be triggering the decisions that you make with your finances. When they call you, they trigger something inside of you on a subliminal level that causes you to do things that you later go back and ask yourself, did I just? That's how you find people say, I don't know how I got myself into this. So learning to say no firmly, empathically, very key. And then educating your family members, talking to them about your own feelings, talking to them about your own financial goals, talking to them about your own financial realities. You keep things bottled up and they don't even know. So they think all is well with you and they come and channel their realities with you. You don't want to be on the saviors. You don't want to be the savior. You don't also want to be experiencing survivor's guilt. You also don't want to be associated with that black tax ego. Do you know what that means? That ego that makes you feel like you're trying to prove a point. That ego that makes you feel like if you don't give, other people will not give. That need will not be met. You want to start to notice all that inside of you. You want to start to notice all of that. Okay? So these are ways that you can help. You can begin to gain clarity. And I hope that this would help some of you. So how has this been? I want to know in the chat how this has been for you. For those of you that are just coming in contact with me, if you there's a way that I'm able to tell, to ascertain how you give and how it's impacting you. And I have a quiz that helps you also do that. How has this session been for you? What is your key takeaway from this session? How has this session been for you? And what is your key takeaway from the session? Falami says, powerful. This session was made for me, enlightening. Fantastic. Fantastic. Keep it coming. How has this session been for you? How has this session been for you? I want to see in the chat how it has been. What is your key takeaway from the session? I want to share ways that I can work, or we can work with you. There's a free wealth affirmation. I don't know if my team can put the wealth affirmation in the chat. For those of you that want to access the wealth affirmation, there's a free wealth affirmation. If you'd like to know how your giving impacts your financial life, I have a morning quiz that you can take, and then you can get scheduled for a personal review. And that would help you, because there's an archetype, there's a money personality type that is related. Thank you, Julia. That is related to your giving. Now, giving is a very wide phenomenon. And I only talked about giving the aspect of your financial life. Do you know that giving also impacts your time, your ability to show up? It impacts your self-esteem. And for women, that projection that you are not enough, you are alone, nobody's there to help you, the world cannot see you, your voice cannot be heard, your muscle is not strengthened enough, you don't have financial capacity, you don't have financial resources. All of this impacts you. All of this impacts you. It also impacts your relationship with your husband, your spouses. You don't want to associate with money because you feel you cannot be trusted with money, right? So I want to know if how this session may have been, let me see in the chat who else is sent, whatever messages are there for those of you. Key learnings: always learn to draw the line, prioritize prioritization. You're not the alpha and the omega of people's problems. Learn to grow money by investing, and you have to be very strategic with the investments, right? Otherwise, if you and the thing is, there's this thing that they say about the crab mentality. How many of you have heard about the crab mentality, where all the crabs? So imagine that you get sunk in giving, in the black tax phenomenon, and you don't bring awareness and consciousness to the way that you give, right? Then you are not any different from the crabs. Remember how the crabs crawl, and then they keep climbing and crawling over themselves, so much so that not many of them are able to make it out. That is what happens when you give unintentionally. That is what happens. And then I also forgot to mention this. For some of you that might find yourself stuck in this, and you don't know how to help yourself, some of you might need therapy, because you are the enabler, and you are already used to the giving, so you also need help. You also need to heal, because it has become a disorder for you. It is tied to your self-esteem. It is tied to the way that you feel, your feelings of inadequacy. Your money is tied to your security, so many things. So you also have to deal with your own hang-ups. That's it. It's easier said, right? So I want to know in the chat how this has been for you. For those of you that are just joining, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for sitting through and listening to how you can build your own personal economy and still support others. Thank you for listening to how no is not so much of a big word. It's a word that you can use. Who else is in the chat? Key learnings. Thank you. Your urgency is not my email. Oh, Oma, I didn't even know you were here. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Engaging and eye-opening. Who else wants to share? So these are the ways. I don't know if my team can also put the other links in the chat for those of you that might want to connect with me in different ways. Um, Thank you so much. I need some level of being selfish. I need to learn to put myself first. Thank you, Mr. Omole. Tosan says it's been very helpful to balance my giving without disrupting my own needs. Absolutely, absolutely. I think I have something here. So when you say disrupting my own needs, it's profound because you just triggered a certain thought that I had while I was preparing for this. Sometimes, right, your ego wants you to have people, it wants you to make people have a perception about you, but it only serves you to a point. And like I said, when I say it serves you to a point, is you are creating that culture of dependence. Our culture already enables a culture of dependence, right? Especially for those that are experiencing the Ada syndrome. But just imagine that you yourself personally, you are enabling a culture of dependence because you are not giving the receiver a chance to be able to get on their own feet because you can't make the hard decisions, because you probably can't have the hard conversations with yourself. So there's a problem, they know that you can do something about it. So they don't have a minute to process it, to exercise their own muscles, to build their own capacity. And that's why we parents, we're being warned about how we're helping our children. We don't want to shield them, cater to their every need without making them develop their own personal capacity, personal effectiveness, without recognizing their own personal powers, right? So thank you so much, Tosan, for sharing that. It's been very helpful to balance my giving without disrupting my own needs. Money conversations are very powerful. You see, our relationship with money is beyond um, debit and credit. It's beyond our bank balance. And the minute we start to recognize that, we will begin to experience a better relationship with money. We haven't even talked about your bank balance, and we've been here for at least 90 minutes. I started this, so it's nearly about 90 minutes, and we haven't talked about your bank balance. Ifoma says, I have over the years developed a mindset shift. How I manage is a set of budget for giving. Oh, so let's read Ifoma's experience. How I manage is a set of budgets for giving. When I can't help, I don't feel guilty. I offer a prayer to God to come through for that person. I am as deliberate about praying as giving. Praying helps me feel good because I'm naturally generous. I would actually feel sorry for who is asking. Absolutely. Ifoma has recognized that she's not the El Shaddai, that God is a great provider. We are just here to do our own needs and to do our own parts. So we can't feel the sufficiency that God can feel for other people. We can't feel it. So what makes us think that we can complete, or we can cover up, measure up to another person? So thank you so much, Ifoma. Prayer helps me feel good. I'm reading it again. Prayer helps me feel good because I'm naturally generous and would actually feel sorry for who is asking. So she advocates for the other person's needs through prayers. She recognizes that she cannot meet everybody's needs. She's not Jesus. So yes, thank you so much, everybody. Don't forget to follow me. Don't forget to send the link on YouTube. I'm on YouTube, so if you get on our YouTube page, you want to catch the recording of the past Mind Over Money series, don't forget to subscribe. If you would like us to discuss other topics around, money and the meaning of money around our lives, send me a DM. Send me a DM. Thank you so much, everybody. Reacted to. Here's the link. And there's also group coaching. If you would want to participate in the group coaching, I don't know if the group coaching link is there. There's also group coaching if you'd like to, have a personalized session where we then look at your beliefs around money, look at how you've come to be, your money biography, the patterns that you've had, the core patterns stemming from your childhood dynamics, your money personality, and of course, move on to beyond the core process where we then look at how you can make better money decisions, have a healthier relationship with money, small and significant steps that you can take to move towards financial growth. These are all of the things that I can work through with you. Okay, but the first thing we would do is to start to understand our relationship with money through awareness, through consciousness, through naming and identifying. And that's what I seek to do. So thank you so much for Lami for sitting through. Thank you, Blessing. Let me see. All of you don't want to say drop an emoji for me, right? Samuel Omole, Opara, Mayowa. Thank you so much, Mayowa. Sheung, I saw your contributions. Tajuddin, Toko Thaya, where are you joining us from? I've never seen that name. Sounds like a South African name. Toko Thaya, where are you joining us from? I don't even know if that doesn't sound like a Nigerian name, does it? Tosan, thank you so much. Joseph, thank you. From Nigeria, what part of Nigeria are you from? Forgive me. What part of Nigeria are you where are you joining from?
I'm joining from Lagos. Actually, a Yoruba name, Tokotaya.
Ah,
Tokotaya.
I've never heard that before. I'm definitely going to ask my Yoruba peeps what that means. If you care to share, what does that mean?
Husband and wife. The Ijebu dialect. You know, Oko, Aya, husband and wife, Yoruba, but the Ijebu is Tokotaya.
Oh, okay. I hope you've learned how money shows up in couples as well, or
Yes,
in husband and wife. What did you say?
definitely,
How?
yes, definitely. This is the second time I'm listening to you, and I'm really, really. The first time I listened to you was when Eden brought you, and
Oh,
like about some weeks back, and I was like, that's when I got into your emails, and it was really, really lovely. And today's one too, very, very nice. Thank you so much for pouring. Thank you so much.
thank you so much. Thank you so. What is your key takeaway from this session today?
Key takeaway is that before we think about others, we should think about ourselves first, so that we have an awesome well-being.
Absolutely, because we cannot give from an empty cup, right? We can't give what we don't have, right? We don't want to give and be sinking to the point or to the level of those people we are seeking to help. Besides, our expansion inspires other people, it expands other people, right? Doesn't it? So when we
Yes,
thrive,
it is.
those people around us will thrive eventually. I read something somewhere where someone said, let me go and work and make money and come back and come and help you. If that's the only way, because I don't see how my giving you money every day lifts you out of poverty. How many people have you been giving money to, and how has their situation changed? The other day I was listening to someone and he said that he wanted to help someone. The person was asking for jam form or something. And then what he did was he told the person, you know what, why don't you learn a skill? I think the person learned sewing. And after 1 year, the person finished the training and then the person paid for his jam form himself and eventually paid himself through, saw himself through school. So we want to give intentionally. We want to empower other people with the way that we give, not enable dysfunction. Because a lot of our giving is is laced around dysfunction. We think we're helping, but we're enabling. Able-bodied men and women need to work. It's only in Africa that people find jobs condescending. You don't want to imagine the jobs that our family members are doing abroad, in the abroad. I see that Ekan is here with us. I see that Michelle says that Ekan is her pastor's wife. I'm super honored to have you here with us, Ekan. Thank you so much for joining. I hope that this session has impacted you in ways that, we can only imagine. Is Ekan still here? Thank you, Michelle, for inviting Ekan here. Ekan, thank you so much. You want to unmute yourself and talk to us and tell us what wisdom you may have gotten from this. Ekan is not speaking. Okay. Thank you so much. Blessing, I see that you're here again. Thank you so much. Did you see how the giving that we talked about today, Blessing, is different from the giving or slightly a slight variation from the giving we talked about in Money Archetype, Blessing? When you were at the Money Archetype Masterclass, did you see? Let me stop the